We are reading from the Yogasutras. This is our Yoga Sutra online class number 12. We are studying aphorism number 27 and further. The topic here today is the God of the Yoga Sutras. We started with that last time. So we are continuing with the alternatives. Patanjali is making us aware of some alternatives to stop the modifications of the mind. These alternatives, as we have seen, do not require you to go through the 6 sampragnata samadhis. Some of those processes are meant for going directly to asampragnata samadhi or that experience. Some others are aids to the first type of approach, that is abhyasa means practice and vairagya means detachment. We are dealing with the first alternative, namely or by surrendering to God, or alternatively by surrendering to God. In our last class, we have looked into the details of the definition of God according to the Yoga Sutras and what differences it has with the definition of God in the Bhakti Yoga. That is according to the Vedantic tradition or Indian Bhakti Yoga schools. Now we go to the next aphorism to know more about God and God's name. So the aphorism is very nice, small one. Tasya vachakaha pranavaha. This is a famous aphorism. God's manifesting word is Om. That is the meaning. Tasya means of God. Vachaka means unmanifesting word, means name, is Pranava, Om. Pranava is the other name for Om. This aphorism needs to be logically analyzed at first. Otherwise, the meaning will not be appreciated fully. This aphorism is very crucial in respect of the first alternative, that is surrendering to God. It is more practical than knowing who God is. This is very, very important for those who practice spiritual sadhanas or practices or austerities with the help of a mantra. Mantra is a word or a group of some words, and that is the shortest prayer. And this word, this sound, what is the connection between the sound and God or your chosen ideal or deity? According to the Nyaya philosophy of India, that is the formal logic, right knowledge, true knowledge is generated by some pramanas. Pramanas means evidence or proof or testimony. So some proof should be there to make the knowledge proper or right or true. And among these proofs, we will take up 2 of them, but they are like pratyaksa, like direct perception, anumana, inference, shabda, verbal testimony or words, etc. Right knowledge is generated by the contact of the senses with their objects. When my eyes come in contact with an object I see in front of me, suppose a clock, then the right knowledge happens. So let me repeat it. Right knowledge is generated by the contact of the senses, like the eyes, suppose, with their objects, like anything I can see with my eyes. Then that knowledge is acceptable as pramana or proof of the existence of a clock. We are familiar with our 10 sense organs, 5 sensory organs of perception like eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, and 5 motor organs for perception, their speech, hands, legs, the organs of excretion and procreation. Of them, we need 2 for our discussion here and later on 1. These 2 are the eyes and the ears. Chakshu, that is the word used for the word eyes. Chakshu in Sanskrit. Eyes are a product of the fundamental element of creation called Agni or fire. You know the fundamental 5 elements. Akasha means the space, Vayu, air, Agni, the fire, Apa, water, and Prithvi, earth. So, these eyes are a product of fire. Fire has color as its predominant quality. When there is fire, you can see it, that color is there. Hence, the eyes have the quality of detecting color and shape and size because the eyes are created from the element called fire. Now, second is karna, ears. They are a product of akasha or space, which has a quality of sound. Hence, the ears are meant for detecting sound because the ears are made from the element called akasha or space, and therefore the space has the quality called sound. Therefore, the ears can detect sound. The first and the most dependable of them are the eyes. That's what we say. And they are associated with direct perception or observation and or cognition or understanding of a thing. Perception may be divided as indeterminate or unclassified and determinate or classified. Indeterminate, unclassified perception happens when we just see a thing without knowing what thing it is. Like for examples, you are walking on a floor of a supermarket. You turn a corner and see a thing. You see the shape, size, color of the thing, but you do not know the name of that thing. This is called incomplete or indeterminate or unclassified awareness. You have seen the thing, you know that the thing is there, but you don't know what is the name of that thing. That happens with many supermarkets you go, many things we don't know. And determinate perception means complete perception happens when a thing is spatially known with all its features and also qualities and name. Name is known finally. Now let us go to the commentators of the Yogasutras for further elaboration on this matter. The commentators say that there are things which have a name to indicate their existence. All things are like that. As we have learned several times, the name is one of the vikalpas or alternatives to indicate a thing. The thing may not be in front of us, but the name will immediately generate a vritti about that, a thought about that thing. So we can see that thing mentally. We will go through this study of a 5-step analysis to prove our point. This is very interesting. And it is very interesting to know, because we use mantras to do japa or repetition. So therefore we have to know the connection between the word or mantra and our chosen deity. So the 5 step. The first step is like this. Suppose someone says, this is Mr. John. I am just changing the names. In Sanskrit they are called Chaitra Maitra. Chaitra is the name and Maitra is the name of the father of Chaitra. But it is easy to understand if I use the names John and James. So someone says, this is Mr. John. John is in front of me because this is Mr. John. That is the sentence. So the person is in front of me, this. I know him with his name. And I make a friendship with John. So what happens? John is not only a person, but John is a name. And I made friendship with the person together with his name. The name is a sound or shabda. The name is a sound or word or shabda. Suppose in a conversation between you and me, where this our John is not available, he is not present there, you say that John told this. Then I know who John is. I know in my thought or chitta vritti the features, qualities, name of John without seeing him. So the shabda or sound or name John is perfectly associated with the thought John in my mind. That happens when we happened when we discussed the steps or the different meditations or samadhis in the Samprajñata group. Savicha tarka nirvitarka, savichara nirvichara. So the object, subtle object, the gross object, they are known by their name, time, space, name and meaning. And without those also, or without those vikalpas also. So here, when I know John as a person and I know his name also. When I remember his name, I remember him, not anybody else. There is an association of sound and thought, recreating a mental John. This John is a person whom I know. Therefore, there is no question about anything less than complete understanding, complete knowledge, determinate knowledge about who John is. Right? You get my point? So here, this John is a person with a name. And I can mentally see the person John without his name. Or when I take the name of John, the John mental thought is created in my mind. And that is not separate from real John. So without the name, I can accept that this person exists. And with the name also, I can accept that this person exists. That is the analysis of this sentence. Now the second step. Again, suppose someone says, John's father's name is Mr. James. Now the analysis will be like, I know John completely. His features, his qualities, name and more. And I also know that John should have a father, even though I have never met him. Just notice the difference between the same verb. I know John and I know John's father. I know John's father, Mr. James, by what? By name. By name only. Though not fully as I know John. Clear? I know John as a person also. But here James is only a name. But I can't deny the existence of James because it is self-evident that John should have his parents. That's all. And suppose someone says that his father's name is James, mother's name is Jenny, I cannot dispute that. And that John's father's name is Mr. James, is my information through word, through a name. And this is a true Mr. James. So my knowledge that John has a father whose name is James is indisputably correct. To me, John is real even without someone uttering his name. And James is real to me only by his name. See the difference. John is real together with his name. Here James is real only with his name. So the equation stands like this. John is real even without his name, and his father Mr. James is real by his name. Do you get the point? So this is the second step of this analysis. Now the third step. It is easy for me to accept Mr. James as real only because I am convinced by this universal fact that every son or daughter has a father and a mother. It is indisputable that every son or daughter has a father or mother. That is why my logical conclusion about the reality of Mr. James is based on universal facts. Universal facts. Like, for example, when we see smoke at a distance, we know that there is or was fire there. This is a universal fact and a universal experience of all. Otherwise, what would happen, I will ask questions about the reality or existence of a father of John. We may ignore the name, there is no problem, but we may raise a risky doubt concerning the existence of a father, not only for John, but for everyone. In effect, I doubt the principle of cause and effect. I doubt that there is a cause for an effect. And I believe in an effect without its cause. I believe in an effect without its cause. In that case, I would prove myself to be a wonderful what? Fool. So therefore, I have to accept that John's father is real, though I have not seen him, but his name is Mr. James. Now the fourth step. The fourth part of this analysis is like this. If I am not a fool, then I know that a real Mr. James thought in my mind or Mr. James vritti is created by a name or word called shabda, a sound. The existence of Mr. James is indisputable, even though it got its reality, for me at least, by a name or word or sound only. This is called Shabdamaya Chinta, or the thought produced by a name. It is in the Tantras, they call it Shabdamaya Chinta. Hence the conclusion will be that Mr. James, who is a person, his existence is proved by the name that created a thought, James thought, in my mind. I do not need to see him, but still I know he is there. If I need to go to him, that is another thing. But By the name itself, I accept that He is there. So I know that He is there. I cannot say that I don't know that He is there. That is agnosticism. Agnosticism. I don't know that God exists. And I don't know that He does not exist. I cannot dispute both sides. I also cannot say that He is not there. And I also cannot say that He is there. Now, if I say He is not there, then that is atheism. But if I am not a fool, as I have proved already, I can say that He is there. The person is there even though I have not seen Him, because He has a name, and that name is known to me. The biblical idea that is like this, he who has seen the Son has seen the Father, is valid at this stage, at this inferential stage. Do you get the point? So when you know the name, you know that this is the name of that person. Even if it is not the name of that person. But when you are searching for John's father, you will take this name and go in search of him, and this will lead you to that person. Now the fifth step of analysis. Now let us apply this understanding to the topic under our consideration. Let me restate in different words the sentence that we had been analyzing so far. Now let us first take up this sentence. John's father's name is Mr. James. Similarly, consider the sentence, our father's name is God, or our mother's name is Goddess. Now let us borrow the dualistic idea of God from Vedanta and apply it here for the sake of our logic. There is one creator for the universe or the creation. The creator is one. When the creation is there, there is a creator. That is proved. And we are his or her children. So when we are there, we know that God is there, because He is the creator of all. The yoga idea of God indicates that the person called God has the same meaning for all languages. The word God, Ishvara, has the same meaning. Meaning means indicating the same person. But his or her names are different because of the difference in different languages. Like John, in Germany we call it Johannes. But it is the same John. The Gospel of John can be the Gospel of Johannes. But it is the same thing. Names can be different because I myself can have different names. My different names do not make me two persons. My pre-monastic name is different from my monastic name. That does not make me two different persons. Do you get the point? Likewise, the yoga god is called Ishvara. You may call him by any name you like. Kali, Krishna, Father in heaven, Allah, any name you can give. The reality called God remains the same. Now let me summarize what insight Swami Vivekananda has provided for this aphorism. What is the aphorism? Tasya vachaka pranavaha. God's name is Om. Yoga Ishvara can be called by the name Om, right? Now Swami Vivekananda explains. He says every idea that you have in the mind has to have a counterpart in a word. The word that the thought are the word and the thought are inseparable. The external part of one and the same thing is what we call word. And the internal part of the same thing will be called the thought. No man can, by analysis, separate thought from word. What is the connection between an idea and a word? Although we see that there must always be a word with a thought, it is not necessary that the same thought requires the same word. The thought may be the same in 20 different countries, yet the language is different. We must have a word to express each thought, but these words need not necessarily have the same sound also. Sounds will vary in different nations. The connection between thoughts and sounds is good only if there be a real connection between the thing signified and the symbol. Until then, that symbol will never come into general use. A symbol like Om is the manifester of the thing signified. And if the thing signified has already an existence, and if by experience we know that the symbol has expressed that thing many times, then we are sure that there is a real relation between them. Even if the things are not present, there will be thousands who will know them by their symbols. Like I know the name of John's father as James. So by the name of James, I know that James, the person, exists. The commentator says that the manifesting word of God is Om. Tasya vachakah pranava. The manifesting word of God is Om. Why does he emphasize this word? There are hundreds of words for God. One thought is connected with 1,000 words. The idea God is connected with hundreds of words. Each language has different word for this one God. But they all mean the same thing, God. And each one stands as a symbol for God. Very good. But there must be a generalization among all the words. Some common ground of all these symbols. That which is the common symbol will be the best and will really represent them all. In making a sound, we use the larynx and the palate as a sounding board. Is there any material sound of which all other sounds must be manifestations? That is the original sound. One which is the most natural sound. Om is such a sound, the basis of all sounds. The first letter A is root sound, is the root sound. The key, pronounced without touching any part of the tongue or palate. A. M represents the last sound in the series, being produced by the closed lips. And the U rolls from the very root to the end of the sounding board of the mouth without touching any muscle. Thus, Om represents the whole phenomena of sound producing, the whole gamut of the articulation of our sound. It is not a name belonging to any language. It is a process of articulating or pronouncing sound. That is the same for all human beings, whatever language you may speak. But this is the process of pronunciation. That is why it is not a sectarian product. Like any scientific discovery, it is universal. As such, It must be the natural symbol, the matrix of all the various sounds. Swami Vivekananda says. It denotes the whole range and possibility of all the words that can be made. Apart from these speculations, we see that around this word Om are centered all the different religious ideas in India. All the various religions or religious ideas of the Vedas have gathered themselves around this Om. What has that to do with America and England or any other country? Simply this, that the word has been retained at every stage of religious growth in India, and it has been manipulated to mean all the various ideas about God. The monists, dualists, monodualists, separatists, and even atheists took up this Om. The word Amen, that is also a form of this Om. Om has become the one symbol for the religious aspiration of the vast majority of human beings. So, this has been used to denote the personal God or impersonal God. Therefore, it is very common for all types of sadhanas or spiritual practices. Om is also easy to pronounce. Om, as you know, is a combination of three letters, O, U, In the Sanskrit alphabet, all vowels are arranged in the beginning, all vowels together, and all consonants thereafter. It is easy to pronounce the consonants, not the vowels. Om, the last one, is the consonant. It is very easy to pronounce that M, Om. Or A, U, Ma, that is the easiest to pronounce. Let me explain this. The last letter is Om. In Om is M. Needs almost no effort and time. Since Om is pronounced audibly without it touching any part of the mouth or throat muscles, it is also easy to pronounce inaudibly mentally. It does not require your muscles to touch with each other. So it is easy to pronounce mentally also. You know that meditation means the continuous flow of the same kind of vrittis or pratyaya ekatanata that we have learned. Continuous flow of the same kind of thought. Om helps us to pronounce it uninterruptedly or continuously, and hence it is an easy aid to meditation on God. It is also very helpful to concentrate and to quieten the restless mind. The pronunciation, I will be talking about that, is so nice that when you are in a very, very restless condition, your mind is very restless, just pronounce Om, and you can pronounce it long. Then the waves, the frequencies in the mind wave, they will slowly get reduced and the mind will calm down. That is the sure effect of pronouncing Om. Another serious point is to be remembered, which is so evident now, is that the objects that are made by or from material elements can be known by direct perception. You can know by hearing. But transcendental realities like God cannot be known in this process of knowing. They have to be known by shabda or sound and using the logic of inference. As we have discussed that John's father's name is James, who is not here in front of me. James transcends the scope of my knowing him with the help of my physical, mental sense organs at this moment. But I can infer with the help of the sound Mr. James that he exists. Similarly, the transcendental reality like God has to be known with this process of inference and with the help of a sound or name. Therefore, the word and symbol of Om have been accepted as the universal name of the Ishvara or God. You may not know Mr. James, the father of John, but you know his name. You have seen his photo or symbol. That is more than enough. Call John's father by his name, he will answer. Because it is his name. So when you call out by the name James, James will answer, not John. If you call out by the name Mr. James, James will answer. You call out by the name Mr. Om, who will answer? Well, Om is not gender specific. You can call out simply Om, who will answer? God will answer. That is the name of God, right? These are the 5 steps of analysis of this aphorism. Tasya vachakah pranava. The name of God is Om. Then we go to the next aphorism, which says Tajjapas tadartha bhavanam. The repetition of this Om and meditating on its meaning is the way to reach Him. The yoga commentators say that Om is a representing name for Ishvara or God in yoga. So it is not enough to repeat Om as a mantra, but one has to remember its meaning together with Om. The process is like learning a language. You learn each word with its meaning. Then in course of your practice or repetition, japa, the meaning and the name do not seem to be different anymore. Suppose I have a friend whose name is Tom. Now analyze this. Tom is a name. Suppose I am giving a talk and used this sentence. Every Tom, Dick and Harry knows it. What is the meaning of this sentence? Tom is there. My friend's name is there. That means everyone knows it. Whether he will be Tom, Dick or Harry. Now here when I used my friend's name Tom, it did not bring the memory of my friend Tom to my mind. Honestly speaking, it does not do that. Because it has a different meaning altogether, Tom, Dick and Harry. Anyone or everyone. So the name Tom stands separated from the person, my friend Tom, here in this sentence. But when I am intentionally using the name Tom to mean my friend, and it is not separate from my friend, then the meaning and the name became one. Here only the meaning and name became one because I wanted them to become one. Not in the earlier sentence, Tom, Dick and Harry. Do you get it? This is how japa is made, with the mantra, with the meaning. Similarly, when I repeat Om, either mentally or audibly, it should have the meaning inseparably attached to it. It is God whom I am trying to remember. This is called Ishvara Pranidhana or God awareness. This is the alternative Patanjali is suggesting. Ishvara pranidhanat va, or surrender to God or being aware of God. We know the word Triputi. You remember we are discussing this Triputi many times. That is the combination of three compulsory participants in a process. In case of meditation on God, the Triputi is composed of the three. They say Grahitri, Grahana, Grahya, or the receiver subject, the object that is to be received, and the medium that helps us to establish this connection between the subject and the object. When you are meditating on God, you are the receiver. God is to be arrived at, and Om is the means of attaining God realization, reaching God. So this Triputi has to be there. God should be there, you should be there, and Om should be there. Earlier we have seen that Vikalpa means the name indicating a thing or a person. We have seen that the person can be known without a name also, if I know him, which is called indeterminate, unspecified knowledge. We have learnt in the cases of Nirvitarka and Nirvichara Samadhi that an object, either gross or subtle, can be meditated upon without the vikalpas of time, space, name and its meaning. That is why ni, without, nirvitarka, nirvichara. Similarly, nirvikalpa also. But as we have already shown, the process is valid for objects which are grasped by the sense organs. On the other hand, when we want to meditate on God, who is not a created being, we need an indicator, a symbol, a name. So remember the sentence, John's father's name is Mr. James. We need that. The name is necessary. In the earlier aphorism, we said that the sense organs can detect the objects which are similar in their origin. Let us know it very, very seriously. The sense organs can detect the objects which are similar in their origin. Eyes originated from fire. Similarly, the object that is originated from fire or which have colors, they can be detected by eyes. The eyes are product of the basic matter called Agni, fire. Fire has the qualities we have told. Color, touch and sound. These are the three qualities of the eyes. The quality called color is the predominant quality among these three. Color, touch and sound. The eyes are the product of Agni or fire. Hence they can see the objects that have the same qualities, color. We are familiar with the instructions given by the spiritual teachers to meditate in the space of the heart. Space of the heart. Hridaya Akasha. Akasha means space, which has a quality of sound. Akasha has sound quality. Ear has got sound, ear originated from Akasha, which has sound quality. So therefore ears can hear sound because they are made of sound. Same vibration. So the teacher will tell the student, or this guru will tell the disciple to meditate in the space of heart. Space means Akasha. And it can detect sound. It has a quality called sound. Om is a sound. What are the instruments being used to detect sound? The ears are made of the elementary matter called space, So they will naturally detect sound. Ears mean the sense organ called the organ of hearing. That is an auditory nerve center in our brain. The synchronization of the sound should happen with the ears and the space inside the heart. The ears, Om, and the space inside the heart, they are of the same vibration. Of the same vibration. Om is a sound. Ears can catch the sound and that can synchronize with the heart, which is called space inside the heart. That is also has quality sound. The Om is heard from the mouth of a teacher with the help of our ears. And the sound Om resonates in the space inside our heart. Because space has the quality called sound. That is why Om has been taken up as the best aid for meditation. That is why. How does the meditation on God help us in knowing ourself? That will be the question. Meditation on God is a dualistic idea. How does it help us in knowing our own self? That has to be answered. Because meditation on God is an alternative suggested by the Yogasutras. Alternative for asampragnata samadhi. So how does it happen then? Self-knowledge is the goal of Yogasutras. That's what we know, samadhi. The Yogasutras explain that in great detail in the next aphorism actually. For a short information, we can say that the meditation of the sound Om in the heart will create the presence of God or Ishvara in that space. Om and God. The meaning of Om are one and the same. Om and God, their meanings are one and the same because Om is the name of God. And number two is, since I am meditating on God in this way, I am also with God all the time. And I derive the bliss of God as my bliss. When you are in the presence of a great personality, a sattvika person, I have seen it many times, we have experienced it hundreds and thousands of times in the company of our wonderful monks. When you present yourself before such a monk, you will immediately feel the sattvic vibration around that person. Immediately you will feel. If you come there with lot of troubles or agitated mind, you come in their presence and their sattva quality is so infectious that in a moment all your restlessness will calm down in their presence. So since I am in the presence of God, I will surely derive that bliss because of His presence. Then I continue with this meditation for a long time, unbrokenly, with the recognition of reality or truth in me, the self, that I recognize. This will finally lead to me, to see my own self face to face as the indwelling reality. Where is myself? Inside me. Where is my God? Inside me. In the Hridaya, Akasa, in the space inside the heart. This is one and the same. More we will know from the next aphorism. Now let me summarize some words about japa or repetition on any mantra or Om. The name of God is Om, as we have seen. When one repeats this mantra, one needs to pronounce the O short and the M long. Generally, the O is having double beats and M half beat. So, generally what we do, we pronounce like Om, Om, like that. But no, the yogis say that if you want to have continuous flow, ekatanata dhyanam, pratyaya ekatanata is called dhyanam. Continuous flow of the same vritti is called meditation. So, they are saying not to pronounce Om like Om, but to pronounce it like Om. So, M will be long, O will be short. This is called symphonious or harmonious pronunciation of Om by the yogis. They also advise us to do this repetition inaudibly in the mind. There is another type of japa or repetition that is also prescribed. One needs to connect the Om with the unstruck sound of Anahata Dhvani, the sound of the universe. Okay, I am not going to connect it with the sound of Big Bang, which is constantly going on in the universe. But it is something like that. It is sound of the Creator, and it is continuously flowing there unstruck, without being struck or being produced by friction between two metals or two things. We do not need to pronounce it, but try to hear it in our mind. Try to hear it as arising from that anahata dhvani, unstruck sound in this universe. In the tantras, this type of japa is called mantra chaitanya or the mantra consciousness. Be aware of Om. You don't need to pronounce it. Be aware of its presence. When you are in the presence of God, you don't need to call on Him. You are in His presence. You be aware of that. That is called mantra consciousness. The yogi connects his or herself with this consciousness, which results in self-realization. If one wants to remain in God awareness, one needs to follow the bhakti path. The feeling of happiness in the heart by a yogi leads to an attraction towards God. We have experienced that we like to think of some happy experiences repeatedly. When the same kind of urge to repeat Om as the mantra of God naturally comes in the mind, that is called bhakti or devotion. In a sense, that is called pranidhana. Another useful advice about the japa of Om is that with the repetition of O, we think of God, and then continue with that thought with the repetition of that long M. So when we are saying O, we are thinking of God, and when we are saying we continue with that thought. Suppose you are doing the japa of Om with Sri Ramakrishna as your chosen deity. With the thinking of O, connect your mind to the blissful figure of Sri Ramakrishna, and then continue with the same figure with the prolonged Thus the two separate efforts in one Om converges into one Samadhi or meditation. Our mind attains concentration by this type of japa, which is called at first as samprajñata and then asamprajñata yoga. So I will stop here today. Swami Vivekananda also explains it in some with some details why there should be a repetition. That is also very, very wonderful, scientific and psychological. So therefore we will discuss that next time. So I stop here and thank you very much for your presence. It always inspires us.